river that flows north. There's not many of them. Come on. The Nile. I realized when my pictures were foggy today because they were holding my chicken over my TV. I pulled them off. I did, but I was wondering, they seemed a little foggy.
All right, now you remember we were seeing that kiosk with all those bricks? I said there was a 4-year period when the dam was built. Does anybody remember what 4 years it was?
48 to 52.
48 to 52. Bingo. All right. I think you need a 5-5 for that right there. All right. Very good. And you're going to see it says 1951 right here. Well, this is where the last bucket of concrete was poured on Halloween of 1951. So they picked a great date to finish up on. So maybe, just maybe, we'll see the dam monster down there. How about that? if you talk to Sarah up at the front desk, though, she'll tell you I'm the dam monster. I've been doing tours for about 12 years now, and I'm used to talking over construction equipment, the roar of the water, school kids, and things like that. So this is my indoor voice now. So everyone thinks I'm always yelling because I'm so used to giving tours so much. So they're always like, "Why are you yelling? Why are you always mad?" I'm like, "I'm not mad. I'm happy." But I guess I'm kind of loud. So I guess they call me the dam monster down here. So, well, we're going to step up over here and we're going to take a look down into the gorge here. And that's the mighty Genesee River down there. Doesn't look very mighty today, does it? Well, as we said upstairs, this is about as normal as we normally would get for the summer. That's basically what it looks like. It'll get a little bit greener as the silt starts to come out of the water there. And so, how many people are staying over in Letchworth Park or been to Letchworth this week? Are going to go there this weekend or been there this week already? All right, well, let's see a guess here. Now, how old do you think some of this rock here is in the gorge? Anybody have a guess?
6 million.
6 million. All right, I have 6 million. Any others? Oh, Ryan's thinking pretty hard. I can see the smoke and the gears grinding over here.
100 million.
100 million. All right. Well, actually, yeah, you're a lot closer. These are hundreds of millions of years old, this rock, and they've actually found a layer of volcanic ash here near the dam that they've dated around 380 million years old. So if you think the rock is that old, how old do you think the gorge is? Ooh, now that's a tough one, isn't it? Anybody have an idea on the age of the gorge?
5 billion.
5 billion. Whoa! Now that's going back all the way practically as old as the Earth. All right. 1 billion. Okay. Well, in fact, here's the weird thing. This gorge is only about 10,000 years old. And it was made during the last ice age when we had, you're off just a little, not too much, but, and it was made when the glaciers came down through. So what happened when the glaciers came through, they dammed up a bunch of rivers and they made a bunch of lakes. In fact, Lake Ontario used to be called Lake Iroquois because it was almost double the size when the glaciers came through. So you can look it up on Wikipedia or Google and you'll see and do Lake Iroquois and it'll show Lake Ontario, but it was about twice the size because of the ice jams and dams and things. Well, as those glaciers started to recede, those lakes let loose and they came ripping down through the valley here. And those waterfalls that you see all the way at the south end of the park, they receded back through and kind of carved out this gorge. Now also the ice started to help scrape out a lot of that gorge as well as they were receding. So we're only about 10,000 years old. So it kind of brings you to today. It's like, wow, hey, this is kind of a perfect spot to put a dam. Well, as we said, Rochester used to flood majorly every 5 to 7 years on average. And they wanted to be built specifically for flood control. So hence we don't have a lake down there right now. We don't generate power. We don't generate electricity. We don't store water, and we aren't here for a recreational lake. And so right now we have 9 tunnels at the bottom of this structure, and that's what allows the flow of the Genesee River. Right now we have 8 of our 9 gates are fully open, and normally we have 3 gates open for the normal flow of the river, but we're trying to get it dry out there because they're cleaning up some of that debris and actually cleaning out the gate intakes down there for us. So we want to try and get it as dry as possible for them down there. So we're going to come and group up right out here on top of the dam. And as you pass that little line right there in the back, you are now on top of the Mount Morris Dam. So yay! So how many first timers for being on a dam? All right, hey, a good chunk of the group. I love it. Fantastic. Well, guess what? We're one of the largest concrete dams east of the Mississippi River. We are 2,000. We're 1,028 feet long. We're 245 feet tall. The top of the dam here, we're about 20 feet wide, which is about the width of a 2-lane highway. At the base of the dam, we're 213 feet thick, which is about 2/3 the width of a football field of solid concrete down there. And so when they built the dam, they actually had a concrete plant way over there in Letchworth State Park. And so what they did is they actually had 2 towers that were on railroad tracks, so they could slide those towers across to drop those buckets of concrete. And in between those 2 towers was a big cable. And that cable would pick up like a crane a big bucket. And that bucket was about the size of that head house you see up there, maybe a little bit bigger than that. And it would hold about 7 to 8 cubic yards of concrete. Well, we had to pour over 100,000 buckets of concrete because we have 750,000 cubic yards in this dam. And if you can imagine, that 8 cubic yards in that bucket is about the same that you would see in a cement truck on the highway. Now, we have a little bit bigger cement trucks now, but the ones that remember, especially from our childhood as adults, were about 7 to 8 cubic yards. And so it took them about 4 years to build because we had to put a lot of concrete in here. And if we actually lined up all the trucks of rock at one time that were brought in to make that much concrete, they would stretch from Mount Morris and go all the way to Chicago. That's how much rock had to be brought in. And so we're also classified as a gravity dam, which means our tremendous amount of weight is actually what holds us here in place. And so we use the force of gravity to actually resist the force of the water that's hitting from the lake and the river as it comes in. And so we weigh 1.6 million tons, if you can imagine, which means we weigh about the equivalent of 320,000 adult elephants. So I don't know, I think it's about time for us to go on a diet, huh? And so, yeah, so we're pretty heavy, and we use that force of the weight of the dam to actually hold us here in the gorge. And so we're going to walk out here, and one thing that you're going to notice that the river's actually deeper over on this side, and it's about 20 feet deep. And it's deeper here because there is another dam down in Mount Morris that backs up water between us and them, and it's a Rochester Gas and Electric Power Dam. Excuse me. Wow, I caught a glimpse of the sun and it made me sneeze there. But they used to generate electricity at that dam until about 2004, and so, but it's still there and it backs up water between us and them. So when you're in the park and you look down, you can't even see the river on this side because it hugs that side of the gorge. But then you see all that water there, and everyone's like, "What the heck's going on here?" So that's why there's more water on this side. And so as we go out, you're going to see a yellow line over here. That's our trash boom or our log boom. And that's a 1-inch thick cable that stretches across the gorge. And it's got a bunch of buoys that float on the water, and it will stop about 90% of all the logs that would come up against the dam. And so that's what all that heavy equipment's doing down there right now, is they're helping to clear it out. So I can tell you those dump trucks, the tires are taller than I am, but they kind of look like little Tonka toys down there, little kids' toys. That's how high up we are. And you'll get a better view of it out here. And so they go in every year and they chip up all those logs for us, and there's a road that goes from our parking lot straight down to that log boom, and that's where they'll go and grind up all those logs, and they haul them back up out of the gorge. And that road is so steep that those trucks have, all those wood chips have to be pulled out by a bulldozer to make it back up that hill. And they're also going to clear out a lot of the silt and things that are near the gate intake, so they're going to go clear out of our intakes of our tunnels down there as well. And if you also look up the side of the gorge a little bit, you're going to see a whole bunch of logs kind of laying on the side above where that boom goes and connects into the wall. Well, where all those logs are laying, that's about how high the water was a couple months ago when we had a 95-foot deep lake. So all this heavy equipment that you see under here would have been underwater at that point. And you can even see that excavator has a really big long boom on it. That would have been underwater just a couple months ago when we had that huge lake. Now we've had some lakes since then, but nothing that's like what you see today. And so we've fluctuated a lot, but this is the first time we've been normal all year, back down to the actual normal flow, the summer flow of the Genesee River here at the dam. Now also we've had a couple high water events. We've had 1993, we were 14 feet from going over the top of the spillway of the dam. And in 1972, we were 4 feet, and that was Hurricane Agnes from going over the top of the dam. Those are the 2 highest we've ever had. And so if you actually take a look right below me here, or right below us all right here, you're going to see, if you go about 1/3 of the way down the gorge, you're actually going to see there's a log laying right here on top of an iron pipe. Does everybody see where that is? Yep. And for those from me over, it's going to be kind of hard to see because of that tree. But just past that first little tree you see, there's a tire and a rim laying over in the bushes there. And that log and that tire were both left there from the 1993 storm when we were 14 feet from going over the top of the dam. And so in 1972, it was 10 feet higher. And if you can imagine, a lot of these treetops right here were underwater or pretty close to being underwater. So at our maximum, if we are 100% full, we're going to have a 200-foot deep lake that stretches back 17 miles into the gorge, and it goes right to the top of the lower falls in Letchworth State Park. So you go from having 3 waterfalls down to 2 when we're 100% full. So we're going to take a quick look at the spillway, and then we're going to head into the dungeon. Really cool. So I think we're going to head into the dungeon now. We'll get you a chance to the spillway right after the tour. And I promise you, after the tour, you'll have plenty of opportunity to take some pictures out here and things, so don't feel like you're going to